Now, I obviously have never raised children, but I've talked to a lot of parents over the years, and I know that kids can ask some really challenging questions at times. Dad, how do planes fly? Mom, how does a seed turn into an oak tree? Why do I have an older brother or sister? But I know that there's one question which stops parents in their tracks. It makes them break out in a cold sweat and sort of wring their hands. What am I going to do to this? It's when that little boy or girl looks you in the eye and asks, Mommy, where do Pharisees come from? And it's a difficult question because the answer is, well, sweetheart, Pharisees come from you. Okay, I'm being struck by lightning. Okay, kids, you won't become Pharisees. But here's what I mean. No Pharisee ever woke up in the morning, rolled out of bed, and said, how can I be the biggest hypocrite I can possibly be? How can I treat everyone with disrespect? How can I insult poor tax collectors? He didn't roll out of bed that morning and have that desire in his heart. It grew. It grew over time. And in all likelihood, the seeds were planted when he was just a little guy. Because that's what often happens. None of us wake up and say, how can I be my worst self today? And I'm mentioning that because there are things going on now in our midst. And I don't want to turn a blind eye to them. And please, don't brace yourself for some political homily, whatever that is exactly. It's simply a statement about the basic treatment of other human beings with fundamental dignity. We see this going on, and we can't pretend that we don't see it. And I'm not talking at all about this or that law. I think we need just laws. I'd be the first one to say it. I come from a family of attorneys. But I'm talking about the basic treatment of human beings. When a 6'4" guy in a mask drags a 5-foot woman out of the car by her feet, you can watch this. You can go online and see it. And I know, because I also come from a family that has more than a few law enforcement folks, and we probably have several here, regardless of what that person may or may not be guilty of, someone that big is capable of removing someone that small from the car without dragging them by their feet. A few weeks ago, a number of seminarians and recent graduates of Mundelein Seminary led a Eucharistic procession down in Broadview. And we put up a picture of it on the seminary website. You would not believe the hateful responses that were posted to that. How can you do that? This is disgusting. The once proud seminary of Mundelein has fallen to this. Now, what these internet trolls didn't know is that I'm a native South Sider, and I eat insults for breakfast, so it really didn't bug me too much. But I just got to thinking to myself, what have we come to when self-professed Catholics would have this reaction to prayer? Because it's prayer for something that they may not agree with, but it is prayer, and it's prayer in the presence of the Blessed Sacrament. I was recently at a parish where I more or less talked about this, and I didn't say, nor did I intend, you should vote for this person or that person, or if you sit on this side of the aisle, you're worse than if you sit on that side of the aisle. We're simply talking about basic dignity. I'm not going to say which parish it was, it doesn't matter, but when I left, and like I always am, I'm the visitor, so I ride in on my horse and ride out of town. I don't have to deal with it. But the pastor, who's a good friend of mine, called me up and said, I don't know what you said, but I've been blasted by angry comments this week. And I have never been called a rabble-rouser in my life, believe me. But I couldn't help but be struck, well, what is going on? What's being touched in our hearts that stirs that? And that's hardly the only reaction, so that's not what I'm saying. But my point is simply this. The comments were most what struck me, because the comments were that we're tired. We're tired of hearing about this. I hear about this all the time. Now, I know this parish, and I can guarantee you there is no way in blazes that these people have been railed at week after week. But there's still that sense of, I'm tired of hearing about this. And that's what I mean when I say Pharisees grow up from very early in life. And all that I mean is it's so easy to become inoculated against this stuff. It's so easy to become tired and weary. I don't want to hear about it anymore. And it's so easy for those kinds of things to become normalized. Like the Pharisee coming in, and he doesn't even know what he's doing at some point. Look at this scummy tax collector. Somebody get him out of here. And so whatever that is for you, and believe me, this is not, I went to a political protest and a homily broke out. What I really mean is, this is where the rubber hits the road. Because we say these things, we read these parables, we say these prayers, but what do they really look like in our own lives? And so here's what I would say, regardless of what you think about that. What is it for you? What's the thing in your own life that you've just stopped noticing? Because maybe at one time you were tired of hearing about it, and now it's as if we barely even notice it's there. I could give you a list of many things in my own heart. There's certain behaviors, their attitudes, it can be the way we relate to family members, the way we relate to our community, it can often be the way we look in our own hearts, and there's something there that we don't want to see anymore. And maybe we keep it hidden so nobody else even knows it's there, but we do. And when we look at it, we hate what we see. And so we find ways to just pretend it's not there. Pharisees grow up step by step, and oftentimes they don't even realize who they are. And I'm not saying this to make us all feel terrible on a beautiful fall morning, but just an invitation to mercy, an invitation to conversion of heart, and an invitation to be able to sit down and look another person in the eye and see the humanity that is there, regardless of what needs to be taken care of with responsibility and justice. Because I don't want to be naive about this. I've got things in my own heart that I shouldn't be okay with. I've got things in my heart that I really do need to be called out on. But that's very different from saying, I'm just going to pretend like it's not there because it's become a burden. It's become wearisome. I'm tired of thinking about it or hearing about it. So just an invitation as a little spiritual exercise in this 30th week of ordinary time is to ask ourselves with brutal honesty, is there a growing Pharisee in my own heart? And I wish I could say in mine there's just a growing one, but there's one that's well into its 50s. And every time we read this gospel, I'm reminded that he's there. And I'm also reminded, as was beautifully sung in the psalm, if we can name that as our own poverty and call it out, the Lord will always hear it. And I guarantee you there will always be conversion.
Thank you for participating in the digital liturgy today. The digital ministry touches the lives of many people, as does almost 80 other ministries here at OLPH. Grateful for the community that connects to OLPH through this digital forum. It's unbelievable how many people are able to access the liturgy and other events because of this ministry. Please consider supporting OLPH. All of your sacrifices help to sustain this parish and to keep moving us into the future. Thank you very much, and keep watching.